Hi, I'm Superintendent Steve Carlson.
I'm Keith Meekum, Assistant Superintendent over Secondary Schools.
Heidi Jo West over elementary schools.
We are each relatively new in our respective positions. We know this information is of interest to our voters from some of the information we've received from questions through social media. So we've gone back and researched some public records, budget books, board meeting notes to collect accurate information to share with each of you.
Bonds have been part of the funding of major projects in Box Elder School District for 112 years. In that time, we have seen significant increases in the construction costs between the bond intervals. Particularly, the bond periods with longer intervals between approved bonds result in a significantly higher cost to our taxpayers. You're welcome to pause here and review this slide in more detail. Some things we would like to bring into focus is the longest period of time between a bond in Box Elder School District is 17 years, and the last two bonds have spanned 31 years. The average cost of a home in Brigham City in 2007 was $178,000, and currently the average cost of a home is $450,000. That information is being shared to give you some perspective on the construction cost increases.
These next three slides, we're going to show you kind of a timeline of construction. We could go all the way back. I think that would bore you, but we're going to just go back to 1962. This is when our two our oldest elementary schools, our least efficient and most overcrowded schools of North Park Elementary and Lakeview Elementary. You can see that they have had a few additions along the way, but they are still primarily made up of the original build in 1962. Century in 1964 was built. They have had three additions since then. And in 1965, our Bear River Middle School and our Box Elder Middle School, that is when they were built. And again, they are overcrowded. They are our least efficient buildings, and they present our biggest safety concerns in the event of an earthquake. Along on the right side, you can see the different things that have happened. McKinley was built in 1973. Our natatoriums at both ends were built in the early 1980s. And then Willard Elementary was built in 1986. Moving along here, again, now some of you probably remember this times a little bit more. In 1994, Discovery Elementary was built in the northwest part of Brigham City. In 1995, Park Valley School was built. Our intermediate schools were built in the mid-90s, Harrison Intermediate in 1995 and Young Intermediate in 1996. Just for your information, the current district office located at 960 South Main was acquired from the Flying J company, and this was their headquarters. And just note that it already had AC before Box Elder School District acquired it. In 2005, the old Perry City School was destroyed, and it was rebuilt as 3 Mile Creek Elementary. In 2010, I don't know, that seems a ways away, but 14 years ago, Bear River High and Box Elder High were both remodeled, and that was part of our 2007 bond. And Garland Elementary, a year later, was built as part of that bond as well. And just most recently, in the last 12 years, Fielding Elementary was rebuilt, as along with Snowville Elementary, our Independent Life Skills Center, and a North Transportation Center in 17 and 18. Adele C. Young was able to get an addition. Sunrise, formerly our Dale Young Community High, was rebuilt as well in 2020. And then our Golden Spike Elementary, along with Grouse Creek, were rebuilt as well. So that is kind of a timeline of our construction in the last 60 plus years.
On November 6, 2007, district patrons approved a $70 million bond, which provided the district $56 million for the remodel of the two high schools and $14 million for growth accommodation of elementary students. Approximately $6 million in regular capital was added to the fund amount in order to cover the cost of the high school projects. The premium received on the issue of the bonds was $1.8 million, and we also were able to get a qualified school construction bond for $3 million at that time with an interest rate of 0%. That allowed for us to build Fielding Elementary and finish that project. The building priorities at both high schools were determined by a committee of stakeholders, and all bond funds were used to fund the projects that were designated at the time.
A question has been asked is why don't we save and pay for the projects as we go along? And the school district has actually done that the last several years. And they've done that with capital reserve money. Capital reserve is just a way of saving capital savings plan, just like we have in our own homes. And we're only able to save what we are able to obtain through our capital levy that Mr. Minkum explained in a previous video. We cannot save the $220 million that we need to do these projects. You know, much like we almost all of us have to buy cars on time. We have to buy our homes on time. This bond tool that we are using is something that's set into effect in order to allow us to do these big projects. And so we've had all of these things up here. The Box Elder Middle School Gymnasium was with bond premium and capital reserve. Our Independent Life Skills Center was built in 2017. That's a building just west of the current Box Elder School District office. And the Independent Life Skills Center is actually the post-high graduate program for students with special needs. These students qualify for services between the ages of 18 and 22, and they receive life skills and work training to be able to support them in their lives after high school. On the top half of that building is the boardroom and other areas that we use for professional learning for our teachers that we used to spread out throughout Bridgerland. We used to go to Bridgerland and USU Brigham and those types of things. And so we feel like we've been very good at using all of our time. With the North Transportation Center in Tremont was built in 2018 using the capital reserve funds. In 2018, we also added on to our intermediate school in the south, the Dale C. Young, and we added a wing on there because of growth. Sunrise High School was in an old church house, and in 2021, we rebuilt the new Sunrise High School where it was before that, and we did that with capital reserve. And then in 2022, we took and combined both Foothill and Mountain View and built Golden Spike Elementary. At that time, our reserve was, we had about 16, 17 million left in reserve. And so we actually used up the reserve for half of that project. And then we did a real property lease, which is really low interest. And we're still paying for that with that low interest, probably about $14-15 million of that was left. And so that pretty much has taken us to this point in time where our capital reserve has really gotten really low. We only have 2 or 3 million in that to help us with, unforeseen projects, a roof that might fail or a parking lot that might need repair. And so that's why we have to go to bond for these projects that we're presenting to you. The location of the proposed projects, very simply, is Bear River and Box Elder Middle School. We'd like to build new schools. They're old, they're inefficient, they're unsafe, and it costs roughly about $70 million a piece to do that. In order to make the transition of the ninth grade into the high school, we feel like we need about a $66 million renovation at both Bear River High School and Box Elder High School for instructional spaces and CTE. In our intermediate schools, which are going to replace both North Park and Lakeview, we need to do renovations to make them more upgraded to be elementary schools, kindergarten areas, playground areas, just do some construction to make them more conducive to being elementary schools. This is something we're really looking forward to, and it's going to be part of this bond project as we go forward.
With extra money being available from the building construction of the intermediate school renovations, we will make sure to look at the priorities of Century, Discovery, and Fielding. We also want to make sure that everyone knows that all future projects will include air conditioning, and as part of this bond, we will put air conditioning in current buildings.
Thanks for spending 10 minutes of your life watching this video. I just want you to know we encourage you to vote by November 5th. Please go to our district website. You can see the highlighted yellow section up there and look for more videos, more information. We'll continue to update this as we move closer to November 5th. And again, if you have any questions, please reach out to Superintendent Carlson, Assistant Superintendent Heidi Jo West, or myself, and we will be glad to give you more details. Thanks again, and we appreciate your time.